We're ready to go racing for the first final here this afternoon. We indeed go green. Helga leads them very cautiously down into turn number 2. What about Charles Milesi, the Frenchman in the TKART from the second row of the grid? Is he going to lose? We've lost 3, 4, 5 karts at the exit of the first corner. Milesi is going to be the leader from Kieran Juis, the Forza Racing driver. You can see the karts in the background. We've lost 5 drivers already. So let's cap the order for you. Milesi leads from Juis. I can tell you drivers been involved in that first corner incident. Teddy Wilson, Rasmus Lind, Morozov, Ugo De Ville, Gianluca Petkov and Matteo Moretti. A couple of them attempting to restart. The sun's really coming out to shine now. So the track will drive very, very quickly within a couple of laps. There's the first of the 2 barrel arts coming in on screen now. Colette up into 4th. Still very wet down into turn number 2. But it is actually David Vidales, the Spaniard. Apologies for mixing up the Spaniard and the Frenchman. Milesi, his TKART teammate, is still there back in position number 5 or 6, though he's lost a couple of positions coming out of turn number 3. Bogdanov up into 2nd spot now, having got past Juis, although he retakes the position there. There's Kyle Collette in the barrel art. The field start to settle down. The yellow flag is still out at the exit of the Vega sweeper. So Vidales from Spain, he did not race the first final in Spain because although he was one of the leaders, was taken out in the pre-final as Colette tries a move on the Russian Bogdanov. Helga's going to go around the outside as well, but has to give way. Dmitry Bogdanov for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport team. Helga's got a good run though. He'll be on the wet part of the track, elects to duck back in beside the Russian. Let's see if he can get a run down into turn number 2. It is still wet in that part of the circuit. Colette tries the high line. One of the TKARTs has gone round. That might have been Milesi, who was running in the top 5 or 6, or even Guido Moggia. So we've already lost Ilya Morozov, Ugo De Ville, Gianluca Petkov. O'Neill Muth is out. Rasmus Lind has rejoined, but way down at the bottom of the field. Kyle Collette starts to charge his way up through the field. It was, in fact, Guido Moggia. There's Helga down the inside. Oh, almost loses his nose cone now. In a coming together potentially with Kyle Collette up through the hairpin for the 3rd time. There's Helga in the CRG, the Norwegian who started on pole. Finds himself back in position number 4. The race leader, David Vidales, with 1.4 seconds over Kieran Juis, the Englishman. Then it's Kyle Collette, a little less spray down into turn number 2 this time. Colette's gone wide, but he will get a good run on the exit. Bogdanov tries to follow him. Then it's Helga. Isaac Blomqvist for Ward racing up the inside of the Norwegian. Bogdanov has to give way as he cuts back inside to make the ripple strip. Finn Keneally, the other Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver, there he is with the bright green helmet. As Blomqvist goes through on the inside of Colette, Colette loses another position as well to Bogdanov. And Helga now on the inside of the Brazilian. No, Colette closes the door, holds on for another lap. The track has now comfortably dried out for the most part. They're starting to do almost dry weather times. Still nowhere near their qualifying pace as Helga this time goes through on Colette. Finn Keneally, the other Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver, tries to join in that battle as well. There is Juis. Vidales, though, has obviously had a problem because he's lost a ton of time. The new race leader is, in fact, the Englishman. There is so much going on, we can barely keep up. So Kieran Juis is now the leader. Isaac Blomqvist has other ideas. The track is definitely drying out. It's the drivers who can judge the conditions correctly who can go through and take advantage. The Swede, who in the past has raced even in sleet and snow, driving the Ward Racing kart, Isaac Blomqvist, at the end of this lap, he's going to be your race leader. 1.3 kilometres ago, it was the Spaniard Vidales. You can see him there. He comes across the line. Now he's in fourth. Pulls out on Kieran Jewis, goes through, pushes the Englishman wide, but he runs wide himself and he knows it because he looks over his shoulder. Kyle Collette locks up the Burrell Art, tries the outside of Dennis Hauger. They're 2 and 3 wide. And I can tell you, Adam Ateki in the bright green cart, there he is just coming into screen, has come from grid 32 to join in this battle. Adam Ateki, the Frenchman, there he is, number 265. He actually didn't qualify for the pre-final until some penalties were applied to drivers ahead of him. He actually finished 18th and therefore out. He scraped into the final. Adam Ateki up into position number 9. There is Collette. You can see the track's dry. There is the sun finally shining over Adria International Raceway. Bogdanov in second place, gets it sideways, opposite lock. The Russian with his head leaning in the RFM kart. Vidales back to third, so now the race is starting to settle down. They're doing the 52-second lap times. Hauger over the ripple strips are about 3 seconds off their qualifying place. There is Adam Ateki. He's absolutely on fire. There's the Frenchman, takes the pole sitter. Dennis Hauger, Collette, back behind Vidales. Then it's Kieran Jewis. That is the fight for the bottom step of the podium as we complete quarter race distance. Vidales blocks the inside. He'll be slow out of the exit off the hairpin. Collette knows that he's going to get a good run down through the Magny-Cours chicane onto the straight. Bogdanov signalling there to Blomqvist. Let's get on with it. Let's have our own race and pull away from the rest of the pack. The sun is shining. They lock up the rear brakes. The Tony kart and the Alonso kart. Look at that, the American down in 16. David Malukas from the back of the grid. He's made a great start, fastest lap of the race, on the edge of the top 15. The sun is certainly shining now. The pace is picking up. Vidales holding third just ahead of Collette. Blomqvist nervous under brakes from Bogdanov. This is the race for the lead. There's been so much going on, but we can confirm the Swede is leading the Russian. The Ward Racing Team driver, head of the Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver. Bogdanov weaving on the start-finish straight, not quite sure what that was for. He's lost a little bit of time, that time to Isaac Blomqvist. Vidales back in third, then it's Jewis, Collette, Keneally, Adam Ateki from the back of the grid, dead stone, motherless last. The Frenchman from grid 34 is in 7th. Blomqvist from Bogdanov. There is the Vega rubber line here at Adria International Raceway. Blomqvist, whose mechanic this weekend is Andreas Fassberg, who actually won as a driver the opening round of the European Championships in KZ2 at Sarno in 2015. A step back from driving duties has Andreas, now running the AF competition team in association with Ward Racing. And his boy leads the second round of the Euro Champs here at Adria. Bogdanov's gone wide. Bogdanov missed turn 3. Had to launch it over the runoff area, the ripple strips. Let's see if there's damage to that kart. He knows he's made an error. He looked behind him, and Vidales is coming, and coming hard. Jewis, the Englishman, also joining in that battle. Look at the gap that has given Isaac Blomqvist. He's 3-4 corners ahead. He's not even in the same shot, and there, Vidales has got past the Russian. Jewis, the Englishman, in third for Forza Racing. The British driver for the British team, run by Jamie Croxford. Their boy is one step off the podium. Bogdanov does not look comfortable in that kart though. He's having to work the wheel. We saw him miss turn 3 right there, 1 lap ago. Vidales has put a little bit of a space between himself and the Russian, and Bogdanov's nervous. He's not even watching Vidales. He's more concerned about the Englishman, Jewis, behind him. Jewis desperately wants to get up onto the podium. He's only 2 kart lengths away from doing that as we approach half race distance. Dennis Hauger, the pole sitter, he's way back in position number 10. One behind the Malaysian driver, Abdul Bingafa Mustafa Muizzadin for the Danilo Rossi kart team. There's the Frenchman attacking the bright green kart, just going through now. 1 spot ahead of William Alatalo, Muizzadin, Hauger, Tupau, Malukas up to position number 12. From the second to last row of the grid is the American. This is the 12th lap now. Vidales. Up the inside goes Jewis. Reminiscent of what he did in the pre-final, says, move out of the way, Dimitri. I'm coming through. He puts the Forza Racing kart now up onto the bottom step of the podium. Now, can the Spaniard catch the Englishman? I'll get that right. Can the Englishman catch the Spaniard? We'll take a look at the replay. Slides it down the inside. Spectacular stuff. Bogdanov had to give way. No contact at all. Nice move by Kieran Jewis for Forza Racing. He's now in position number 3. The track is really starting to heat up. Mounting Vega wets definitely would have been a mistake because you can see the sun is shining here in northern Italy. For how long, we don't know. There are clouds in the background, but we suspect, we hope, we will get the end of this final in before the checkered flag comes out. And before the rain comes down. Charles Milesi, who led early, is back in 16th position. Just 1 spot ahead of Oscar Piastri. Another one of the Ricky Flynn Motorsport kart. There's Adam Ateki on the outside of the Birrell. Goes through. Cannot quite get. That was Ulysse Tupau, the Belgian, in the second Birrell Art. Kyle Colette, the other Birrell Art, just up the road in position number 5. There he goes. Second in the first round of the Euro Champs in Spain. Third in the World Junior Championships at La Conca World Circuit in September of last year. So Vidales is definitely catching Isaac Blomqvist out front. The gap last time was 1.1 seconds. Let's check it for you as they come across the line. There's Blomqvist. He looks over his shoulder. Is he starting to get nervous? If he's not, he should be, because David Vidales has taken 0.5 of a second out of the Swede that time round. Vidales, there he is. He's absolutely flying. The gap is down to 0.606 as Dennis Hauger starts to mount a resurgence. But is it too late for the Norwegian? Hauger is back in 7th. He did drop as low as 10th after starting on pole position. Vidales, I don't need to tell you the time gap, because you can see the Spaniard David Vidales is now on the tail of Isaac Blomqvist. Is he getting nervous? He certainly should be, because here comes the Spaniard. Down through the Magny-Cours chicane, we've done 3/4 race distance. 5 laps to go. He looks over his shoulder. The Spaniard is coming. He's in the slipstream just about. Down into turn number 2. You even thought about making a move that time. Still got 5 laps to get through. Jewis, there he is. Don't discount the Englishman getting up on the top step of the podium if these two happen to come together. Jewis is actually getting closer to the leaders by on his own terms though. Bogdanov in 4th, looks over his shoulder. Colette still further way back. Down the inside, David Vidales, the new race leader. He caught Blomqvist hand over fist, taking half a second out of him the previous lap. Vidales retakes the lead. The Spaniard leads the Swede and then the Englishman. The two Tony Karts lead the Esprit. 4th place remains Dmitry Bogdanov as we take a look at the replay. Nicely done. Down into the Vegas sweeper. Blomqvist gave him room. Kieran Jewis has also got past Blomqvist. So has Blomqvist got some sort of problem, or his kart is just not handling these conditions? You saw him get a little bit sideways. He was the early race leader. He had a gap of 1.3 seconds earlier in the race. Now David Vidales has got 0.3 of a second not over Blomqvist, but over the Englishman, Kieran Jewis. Bogdanov still back and forth ahead of Colette. Hauger now up to 6th. It'll take a miracle for the Norwegian to get on the podium. Just coming onto the start-finish straight now. Dennis the Menace Hauger has just taken Kyle Colette. Puts the Brazilian back to 6th. Hauger up into 5th. There he is, just flashing by in the CRG. Vidales, Jewis. The gap is 0.6 of a second with 3 laps remaining. He'll need to take an average of 0.2 of a second out of the Spaniard, and then he has to get past him. Up into the hairpin. Vidales has driven a brilliant race. We had very difficult conditions early on. He's done a 48.783 last time round. Looks over his shoulder. Kieran Jewis. 48.78 and a 48.74 fastest lap that time for Dennis Hauger. Up into 5th, but has he left his run too late? He's now got Dmitry Bogdanov in his sights. Then he has to catch Blomqvist and the leaders. This is Vidales and Jewis. TKART Racing Team leading Forza Racing, leading Ward Racing. The gap is 0.5 of a second, so he only took a 10th out of him that time. 1.5 laps remaining for the Spaniard. It will surely take an error on the part of David Vidales to lose this one. Remember, he didn't even make the final after crashing out of the pre-final in Spain. There's the last lap board to the left of your screen. 1,302 metres to go. Kieran Jewis driving the wheels off that machine, but he cannot bridge the gap. It's down to 0.4 of a second, but that's not enough. The warning flag has gone out to Dmitry Bogdanov in 4th as he desperately tries to hold off Dennis Hauger. Colette's actually got past Hauger in the meantime, but David Vidales is on his way to victory. Kieran Jewis is getting really close to the back of him, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. The sun is shining. The Spanish superstar is on his way to victory. 2 corners remain for David Vidales. The checkered flag comes out. He wins the 2nd round of the European Championships here in Italy. Across the line in 2nd spot was Kieran Jewis. Blomqvist does take the final step of the podium. Bogdanov, the Russian, hangs off for 4th. Head of Tupal. Hauger was 6th. Charles Milesi, Muitzadin, Finn Keneally and Semi Taufik rounding out the 10. Kyle Colette has had an incident on the last lap after running in 4th. He has finished outside the top 20. Let's take a look at the replay. Look how wet it was just a few moments ago when we took the green. Charles Milesi, the Frenchman, with a great start at the inside. We lost Simonov, Morozov, De Wilde, Petakov and Muth on the opening corner. But it wasn't long until the track dried out. Colette, who was challenging for victory. There was Bogdanov and Hauger around the outside. Vidales, he was the first to realise that the conditions were getting better and the track was getting faster. Currently in 2nd spot. Kieran Jewis had a moment of leading. He would eventually finish in 2nd place. Blomqvist, give him credit. He led for much of the race. Hauger had his own battle there. What a great drive from Adam Iteki. The Frenchman from the back of the grid got as high as 7th, eventually finishing 12th behind his countryman Theo Plucher. Jewis going through on the Russian Bogdanov. That was the move for the lead. Decisive. Blomqvist tried to hold him off, but he couldn't quite do it. The checkered flag came out and David Vidales takes the win, the 2nd round of the European Championships. So we will see a very excited Spaniard on the top step of the podium in just a few moments. There's the results. Vidales from Spain has won it from Jewis from Great Britain, and Blomqvist, the Swede, was in 3rd place. You'll see that Kyle Collette actually had an incident that saw him finish on the side of the track on the very last lap up in the Vegas sweeper. Classified out of the top 20. In fact, 29th behind the American David Malukas, who had a good run also until an incident on the second to last lap. So all